Hi, Travel Quest Network agents. It's Anna, Education Specialist here at Travel Quest Network. And today we are going to talk about groups. So our agenda will be, where do we start? Where do you find groups? Cruise groups, land groups, then we'll discuss suppliers that you can use, and then how to invoice a group. So how to find groups? You can look at your existing customers. You can ask in the initial conversation with clients or potential clients, do you know anyone who may want to travel with you? You can look at common interest groups, card groups, sports groups, quilting groups, school groups, ancestry groups, religious groups, and very popular multi-generation groups. Destination weddings are always a popular group. Meeting and incentive groups. You can take out cruise space at no risk and then market that group to prospective clients. Here in Minnesota, Alaska is a very popular destination in the summer. So you could easily take out group space on one of the cruise lines and try to market that to your customers and create a group that way. Be creative, think outside of the box. Anything that you could see 2 or 3 of your customers traveling together, you may be able to create a group. So cruise groups, what is considered a group? Most ocean lines usually require 8 or more cabins. For Avalon Waterways, it's 4 or more cabins. What are the benefits of a group? You lock in the price. It's often a discounted rate. Their space is guaranteed. Oftentimes it's a lower deposit or more liberal deposit terms. And group space often offers special inclusions. So what type of groups could you have in a cruise group? There are affinity groups. Members of an affinity group have a common interest. Quilting, diving, photography, for example. It could be a promotional group. This is a speculative group that you market to your clients. So like I spoke of earlier, the Alaska trip. It could be a meeting and incentive group. So that would be, you contact businesses in the area and see if they would be interested in using a cruise group for an incentive for maybe their top sales people or their outstanding employees. And then there's also travel leaders group space. That would be the distinctive voyages and amenity departure dates. And you can find those on Agent Universe. They include unique amenities for that specific sailing that Travel Leaders has contracted. When you're talking cruise groups, you will hear the term GAP points. What does that mean? It means group amenities points. These are special inclusions offered to groups. So you may be offered 4 GAP points for a particular group. So you can use those points for onboard credits. You could use them as a bonus commission for you. It could be a cocktail party for your clients on the cruise. It could be a bottle of wine in their rooms, a special welcome gift, marketing funds for you. And you can also use GAP points to buy down the tour conductor rate. So if the tour conductor rate would be 1 free berth for every 16, you may be able to use your GAP points to buy that down to 1 free berth for every 12 paid. There are many more different options that you can choose from, and it will be in the group summary that you get from the cruise line, and you can then select whichever works for your group. Ways to book cruise groups. So when you're initially creating that group, holding that space, I would do it over the cruise lines. I would call them call their group department and say you want to book a group. And if you know the itinerary, but you're a little bit flexible on the dates, you can ask them which cruises offer the most gap points, the best benefits for you. Sometimes a week or two either direction could really increase what's available for your customers. So once you have created the group, then you can book via phone or online. You can book through Travelport Cruise and Tour. So once you've created that group, you will see it as you log into Travelport Cruise and Tour. It'll be a Travel Quest Network group. If they are marked private, do not book into that. That means that the agent that has this group has that space already sold or does not want anyone else to buy into their group. So if it says private, do not book into it. You will also see travel leaders groups in Travelport Cruise and Tour, and you can book into those. So that would be the distinctive voyages and the amenity departure dates. That's what's so nice about Travelport Cruise and Tour, is that you are able to see those groups right in the booking platform, and that you can use that platform across cruise brands. So it really is a nice way to book your cruises. And then you can also of course, book on the cruise line booking engine, their agent portal. Remember, you want to do that. And you'll be able to book into the group that way. For land groups, so there's two types of land groups. There's contracted groups and flexible groups. So contracted groups, how does this work? With a contracted group, you have guaranteed space. You are pulling out 6 ocean view rooms, 2 garden view rooms, whatever it may be. You sign a binding contract as an agent. So this will require a good faith deposit being put down. It also ensures that everybody pays the same rate. So all the ocean views are paying the same rate. All the garden views are paying the same rate. It does come with penalties though. So there are attrition rates and penalties that are subject to those dates. So if you have, let's say 10 rooms, you have attrition rate of no more than 10%, you can lose one of those rooms. If you drop below that, there are penalties involved in that. And you may have penalties from the hotel, from the tour operator, and if you have air involved, you may have an air penalty. So everybody knows the rules going in. It's all specified in your contract. It also requires that everyone is traveling on the same itinerary. You may be able to negotiate 1 or 2 date ranges, maybe a 4-night and a 7-night, but basically everyone is traveling on the same itinerary. You usually need 10 or more rooms to have a contracted group. You need to read your contract very, very carefully and call Travel Quest Network support before you sign any contract. And I just want to really reinforce that before you sign any binding contract with a tour operator, a hotel, you need to contact Travel Quest support and walk through the contract and send a copy to us, and we can look at it as well. So flexible groups. Now, flexible groups are a whole different ballgame. No deposit is required for the group, but then again, nothing is guaranteed. So if the resort goes on a stop sell or the flight is sold out, the hotel is sold out, you cannot get more of that particular flight or those particular rooms. Every booking is based on your client preferences. So it doesn't matter as long as that room category is available. You could have all ocean views, or you could have all garden views. Each booking can pick their own flights as long as, you know, they're staying at the hotel and those required dates. And they can, some can book private transfers, others can book shared transfers. So that's the nice thing about a flexible group. So in this case, each booking receives a discount, and it's based on whatever that hotel contracts with the tour operator. So let's say you're looking at a Playa resort and you're at Delta Vacations. They may offer a discount anywhere from $50 to $250 per booking. And it's usually based on the cost of that booking itself. You will need at least 5 rooms. If your number of reservations fall below the number of rooms required, you may lose your discount. And that is becoming more common, that if you've made a flexible group for 5 rooms and you only sell 2 rooms, some of the tour operators will pull that discount back, and the client will be responsible for the full reservation price. So because each reservation can have their unique flights, their room categories, each reservation will price differently. And we understand that, but when you have a group of customers staying, like a destination wedding, inevitably they start asking each other about price. How much did you pay? Well, how much did you pay? And they don't always understand that one person may have booked 4 months ago and one person booked 1 month ago. And then that is what's creating the difference in the price. It could be the air, it could be the hotel. There are so many different moving parts that this can cause a little bit of I've noticed it in some of my destination weddings, but you just have to tell people right up front that because we're doing a flexible group, each person's reservation is going to be different and unique, and it will price differently. So which suppliers to use? If you ask yourself a few questions, it really helps narrow down the supplier. So are you in an airline hub? For instance, we're in Minneapolis. That is a Delta hub. I would definitely start with Delta Vacations and look what pricing is there. Then I would price the same flights and hotel and everything at a different operator that carries different airlines, and see what pricing looks like. Oftentimes, Delta Vacations will discount the flight if you do air and hotel because they own the airline. You'll find the same thing with American Airlines for Dallas, for instance, or United with Houston. So if it's an airline hub, I would start with that airline's vacation packages first, and then I would compare it with a tour operator that carries other airlines as well. And then the other thing to think about is what tour operators carry which resorts. So for instance, FunJet Vacations and Apple Vacations are part of Apple Leisure Group, which owns the AM resorts, so Secrets, Now, Breathless. They don't carry Playa, Sandals, Charisma resorts because they're direct competitors. So in that case, you wouldn't be able to do a Playa group at FunJet Vacations. So that narrows that down. So it really comes to starting to learn which tour operators carry which resort. Another thing to think about is what tour operator or cruise line carries the itinerary that your client wants. So if there's a specific Southern Caribbean itinerary your client wants, it may only be offered at one or maybe two cruise lines. If it's Western Caribbean, the same itinerary or very close may be offered by several different cruise lines. For the tour operators, for instance, Funjet Vacations, Apple, Delta, these are our main operators, GoGo Vacations. Do they carry that particular destination? If they don't, you move on to the other tour operators. And then we recommend booking with preferred suppliers that are either preferred with Travel Quest Network and or Travel Leaders Network. Those partners have agreed that they support the travel agent community. They've been vetted, and you are assured that they are a reliable tour partner to work with. So now we'll talk about, you found your group, you're starting to sell, how do you invoice it? There are two different ways that you're going to invoice it depending on how you created the group. So if you created a group on your own specific to your travelers, you'll go into Commission Manager and you're going to create an invoice for the group ID. So the tour operator or the cruise line will have a group code. You will invoice your reservation under that group code as one invoice, and then for every booking that you have, you will also invoice each individual reservation with their individual confirmation numbers. So you are invoicing the total commission with the group ID number, and then you're invoicing each reservation with their confirmation number. Because what happens is sometimes the tour operators will say, well, we're going to pay you on the group ID. But when the check comes, it's individual reservations. And if they haven't been invoiced, we can't find them. So you're covering your bases no matter which way the tour operator decides to make that payment, whether it's on group ID or individual reservations. Now, if you have created, I shouldn't say created, you used one of the groups created by Travel Leaders Group, whether they're amenity departure dates or the distinct voyages dates, you will have a group code, and then you'll have their reservation number again. You will be able to see what that group code is on the confirmation number for your reservations. And so you will do the same thing with this type of a cruise. You'll invoice the group ID number with the commission, and then you'll invoice the individual reservation number with the commission. So again, you are making two invoices, and that's just to cover your base, because we oftentimes do not know how the vendor is going to send that payment through. So I have included some resources here for you. There is the group travel glossary, group bookings, risks and tips, invoicing, groups, and then Travel Leaders Group Space. And I'm just going to share my screen and I will show you what these look like. So, invoicing groups. This is a document, and it just walks you through basically what I have told you verbally, but you have a document here with live links, and it's here is a sample. This is a celebrity group that I had, and this is the group name, the group ID number, and then here are the individual booking numbers. So that way you know how to invoice it. You'll invoice it with the group ID number, and then you'll invoice it again at the reservation level with this number. And then you can get more information. And yes, you do end up creating 2 different invoices. Now, the risks and tips, here is that link. And it is pretty specific to air, but it's good choices to think about whether it is air or land. So anytime you're working with credit cards, make sure that you know the person with the card. They are actually one of the travelers, and that it is reputable. Anytime it's short notice, that is a big flag for fraud. So go ahead and read this over. It'll be very, very good for you in any travel that you're booking. And then on the Travel Leaders Agent Universe website, once you log in, so we're on Agent Universe under Programs. We went down here to Cruise Space. You will end up on this page. And here's a description on the distinctive voyages and what the customer will get if you book within a distinctive voyage. So they will have a distinctive voyage host. They'll have a invitation only welcome cocktail reception, and they will have an exclusive shore event. Those are awesome amenities. And you've had to do nothing for them other than book them into one of the groups that Travel Leaders has already created. So if you can book into these, I would highly recommend it. So you can learn more about the Distinctive Voyages program right here. It'll list all, it comes out in a Excel spreadsheet, and you can do the Control F, the find a particular ship you're looking for or particular dates you're looking for. And here is the amenity departure date. So with an amenity departure, we have over 3,500 options with Travel Leaders, and that may be an onboard credit, could be a bottle of wine, it could be a specialty dining experience, prepaid gratuities. Every departure is a little different, and you can click on the amenity departure dates to learn more about that. There's also the culinary collection as well. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, especially if you're thinking about a contracted group, please reach out to us, support@tqagents.com. And our number is 763-497-0839. I hope this has been helpful for you, and have a wonderful day.